definitely don't want to play Mordekaiser.
This time round,
EDG.
EDG getting rid of it once more. So, GP up, Lulu up, CHAMPIONSHIP, Jinx up.
We should expect
picks.
EDG's bans now just to be Mordekaiser, GP, and Elise again. Target out Reignover, and Fnatic can then look to first pick the Rek'Sai like they did in the first game. Or maybe the Gragas if they want that one instead.
Well, a few of those predictions have come true already. 20 seconds left. Where do they go with the rest of their picks, Deficio, if plays out as expected with Elise and then Rek'Sai first pick for Huni?
Well, seeing as EDG will have the last pick, and we just saw that Riven into Fiora, we might see them be a little bit more aware of the fact that blind picking Fiora might not be the smartest decision if you are EDG, and therefore they maybe want to save that for Koro, but would require them to get like a safe control mage in the mid lane, which is not always EDG's style.
Honestly, if I was EDG, I might even put Koro on something like Malphite and put all my eggs in the Deft pawn basket here.
One of the problems about the Malphite though is Huni can play like Echo into it, he can maybe play Fiora into it and try and really bully him in lane.
They did lose the game he played Echo, didn't they? Oh no, they won. They won. They were able to defeat AHQ.
Yep, 8, 5, and 8. 3 KDA. Oh, champion for Huni.
The Sivir and Kennen steal.
So EDG,
interesting.
I think the Kennen takeaway is fine. I think they turn a little bit too hard on Sivir for Fnatic. It's not necessarily a must pick for Fnatic in any way. They played Jinx already. There's a lot of picks Rek'Sai can play.
Yeah.
The AD carry position.
Rek'Sai utility picks here being stolen away, I feel like is kind of a trick on EDG because Rek'Sai, we saw him just play the Jinx game. He's very well-rounded AD carry. He can easily play around those stealaways. So my question is this Kennen going to be support or solo lane?
But I have to see. It's obviously one of the flex picks you can use. But I think what EDG is doing is saying because Tahm Kench and Lulu are banned, your Jinx pick is a lot riskier now. There's no Tahm Kench to save it. So by us taking away your utility picks, we will have ways of at least getting onto you as an AD carry in these big team fights. Kennen flash in, Sivir popping her ulti. I think they're basically looking at the fact that whenever the Tahm Kench Lulu has been open, Fnatic has run the utility AD carries because they were safer to run.
Yeah, I mean, Janna is a really good answer to Kennen because Janna can just knock him right back out during the duration of the ult, and because there is that small delay after you get knocked out as well, it basically nullifies the Kennen ultimate as long as Janna herself doesn't get knocked down. Adding in Gragas, though, is some extra displacement here for EDG, so it does add some versatility there. EDG definitely, clearly a Stampede comp, though. Yeah. They just want to rush him down. They want to get to Jinx, blow him up.
And that's the thing again here for EDG. They're basically saying, you ban away the 2 champs to protect the Jinx, so now we try and force you to pick the Jinx at the same time by taking away your picks. And also EDG are potentially saving the last pick for Koro. We talked about how this Fiora matchup into Riven wasn't that great for him, also because he got ganked so many times. So they want to at least have the flex option of Kennen or go something completely different in that top lane.
A lot of pressure then for Koro in this last pick. He's had a difficult game to bounce back from, and mentality in the EDG camp will be something we'll have to look at. Huni will once again get his hands on Riven. He had a 73 CS advantage at 20 minutes over Koro.
Yeah, Fnatic go hard here. 3 extremely strong carries in each lane here for Fnatic. Or 1 in each lane, obviously.
Thanks for clarifying. I would never have known that, Kobe. And it's going to be the Darius lock-in for Koro.
So it's a little bit of the same in terms of the matchup. I do think Darius is better in the early game, though, when it comes to punishing the Riven. However, the problem is when Fnatic pick a champion like Riven that can get out of control, they will camp for that champion. So it's not just Huni 1v1ing someone, it's 2 or 3 guys coming down.
Also, you know, obviously I haven't been able to spy on them in scrims, but doing my best to spy on Koro in solo queue, his Darius has not been his best champion. Of the new ones trying to pick up, Darius has been one of the worst for him. And that's why they, I think, hesitated to pick it before this. But we'll see how he does into Huni's Riven this time around. Obviously, you know, both of these junglers can have a huge effect.
And there's also a much more well-rounded combo around a Kassadin. Not like the one where they try to siege with 5 melee champions and so on, because you have wave clear on a Sivir, you have a fairly strong 2v2 lane because you have Kennen support and you have Darius up top, so you have strong side lanes to back up the Kassadin and prevent that siege in mid. That's going to be key for EDG.
The other key thing is trying to lock that Riven down. You know, CC is her biggest weakness. Lock her down and make her a reset for Darius. That's the key to their team fight.
And we'll find out whether or not Fnatic want to once again camp for Huni, which has proved so successful. Will they be the first and only team to qualify for 3 World Championship semi-finals? Jump on Twitter with hashtag FNCWin. Or will EDG start the comeback here and now? It's game 3 of the quarterfinal.
Talking about lockdown though, honestly, if I am Huni looking at this EDG lineup, I'm not scared. It's only a support Kennen that will get blown up really quickly and a small mini stun there to try and interrupt the combos.
But if you are Huni and looking at this EDG lineup, you might just fear for the life of your AD carry. Because the Darius and the Kassadin and so on are not going to be standing there hitting Huni. They're going to obviously try and jump past him, get onto Rek'Sai, where his peel is going to be the Azir wall, though. It's going to be the Alistar, so it's decent what Fnatic has built there to protect him. It's just not a Tahm Kench.
You're a much nicer top laner than I am. I think out only for number 1. I don't care about my AD carry. If they're diving my AD carry, that means I'm free to rip apart the rest of the Deficio team player.
Always.
Scumbag Kobe. Now Febiven is going to be once again facing off against Pawn. The last time we did see these two play, Pawn is able to get a little bit of a pressure advantage early on, managing to dance around those sand soldiers relatively effectively.
Yeah, it was definitely a good lane matchup for EDG. Definitely something that Fnatic have also shown is they continue to pick for the team rather than individual lane matchups.
And that's something a team has done for a very long time, in fact. They've come out and spoken publicly about it as well, where if players say they are not 100% comfortable, but for the team, for the strategy, for the play, it'll work. EDG walked over that ward, so Fnatic should be aware something is up.
Yeah, they saw the ward being placed 100%, and it's just EDG trying to scout where Fnatic is starting, so they can see, okay, if Reignover is starting on red buff here, where's he going to path next? Obviously, what he has done before in these lane swaps is then you try and invade into the enemy jungle, but you can't do that in this case, at least for now, because it's the Meiko and Deft.
Yeah,
company on the bottom side.
No invade there from Fnatic. They just kind of get the surprise lane swap on EDG. And they're able to get up there very quickly. YellowStar with the invade to interrupt the double jungle here as well.
Wow.
Huge amount of extra damage taken.
I'm going to use exhaust. Real bothersome. Red buff. Let's see. Lost auto attack. Is YellowStar going to steal it? No,
might have to use
away.
Flash to get out of here.
Yeah. Exhaust and flash to delay what? 20 seconds? 30 seconds maybe?
Here's the thing. I really do like the support invades to delay jungle like that, because jungle and top lane are two of the biggest playmakers in the early stages of the game, because top lane is your teleport, jungler is the one working with Fog of War, moving around the map. So taking them both out, delaying them both, greatly reduces EDG's ability to make plays in the early stages of this game.
Make sure you leave before the buff dies, though. And a guy hits level 2. So
the execution is a different...
definitely a good job from YellowStar at first, though, being annoying. We're going to see the fast push once again. EDG showed in the last game, also in the first game of today. They also want to opt into this lane swap strategy, and this is still the problem for Febiven. He's picking this matchup, Azir and Kassadin, knowing that he's going to struggle in lane, because Kassadin can out-sustain him with the flask and 3 potions and just keep trading kills into his face.
Paul takes a lot of damage from that Sand Soldier, though. The Conquering Sand sending him forward. Reignover tried this gank before. This time hits the Prey Seeker. Once again, flashes, gets the knock-up, and will trade his flash for pawns.
We'll see if they can return, you know, before Flash comes back up, before Pawn gets level 6. Maybe now that will be enough to curb the aggression, but they would have to just plant that with a bunch of wards as well. Coral going to get solo gold.
Still a very good gank from Reignover, basically saying, we lost this lane matchup before. Pre-level 6 Kassadin, we're gonna bully you. They saw 3 guys on the bottom side of the tower, so they weren't afraid of face-checking into the bush, even in the 2v2 against the level 3 Kassadin. So I like the gank for Reignover trading flash, as long as he can return. Obviously, it's the key thing. Don't let him get level 6, jump away. But really for EDG, right now, it's just about farm up your Kassadin in the mid lane, and then once you hit like 14 minutes, around that time, you swap him down to the side lane, you put Sivir in mid lane as the wave clear, and you just play this 1-3-1 setup again.
Yeah, not having flash pre-6 in the mid lane for Kassadin completely changes the face of the entire lane. Pawn has to play so much more careful. He has to now use his Q mana cost on trying to get CS. and that greatly reduces the harassment. That's why I think vision around mid lane now is going to become extremely important. Febiven does have some already in place of his own, so...
And he's got support. Huni's already healing back through his jungle. Reignover's hovering or shadowing towards the bottom side of that river. And Huni not running the risk of getting dove up top. Just gets spotted by Clearlove. They're going to do a little bit of a battle over this Merc Wolf. Clearlove should win out.
Right here, though, again, we see for the two top laners, Koro is very quickly to leave his lane, even though he might be able to get a few CS down there while the wave is obviously going to bounce towards him and just trying to shove it back because he knows Rek'Sai is going to show up and push it back the other way anyway. He leaves instantly. Huni always stays, gets a few extra CS, and it can matter. It might just be, you know, 2 minions total, but that experience can give you that one level up you need to beat him then later on.
What do we make of another trade? Top Fnatic tower for bottom EDG tower. Just straight up saying, you do you. Avarice Blade was picked up early by Deft to the second Doran for Rekkles.
Yeah, and you mentioned being greedy. Huni, once again, he's getting a little bit of experience here, gets into the range of the minions dying, but being greedy does have its cost sometimes. There's a teleport here, or there's a ward here they can teleport on, and Clearlove's already in place. It looks like seeing Rek'Sai is enough to dissuade EG from going for that tower dive. Or does it just delay it?
So it's also about clearing the ward. TP can still happen. Look at the positioning of Koro at his tier 2 tower. He's just waiting. And now Huni realizes, okay, I don't have backup anymore. Move away. EDG, though, if they pull the trigger instantly, we're talking again 20 seconds ago, they might have been able to force something of Huni, but that would have cost the TP. And now, no flash in mid.
Yeah, they don't pull the trigger, though, and Fnatic go for the move mid.
The Flash Emperor's Divide sends Pawn to Reignover. Reignover's only level 4, though, and unable to get more damage down. Pawn can rift walk to safety. This will buy some time for tower damage, but they don't get the kill.
Again, they force him away. They make sure Febiven can push this mid lane. And now with these outer turrets gone in the side lanes, I'm almost going to say that's going to favor Fnatic because of the fact that Darius is this low mobility.
They're going to make the counterplay on bottom.
Huni is teleporting in for Koro. Flash comes out, followed by YellowStar. And Fnatic should pick this one up real clean, real simple. And it's first blood to Huni.
I really like this play. Just very quickly got to talk about how getting these towers down, Darius with so little mobility, only has the flash, he's just stuck there. Fnatic instantly just capitalize and kill him.
The reason why Huni can't afford to play that aggressive is because Riven has not only 2 dashes, not only flash as, you know, Koro also does, but 2 dashes in her kit. Very mobile. He was looking to outplay that. So EDG don't pull the trigger, but they forget about the mirror play, the exact same play on the bottom side, and Koro gets himself even deeper into a hole. Huni had already, by the way, been able to leech half a level lead just from being in minion wave range, whereas Koro was not in range. So now he's just skyrocketing ahead. If they do meet up in the side lanes, it will be a massacre.
And because EDG, when they were trying to make this play on the top side, they hesitated. They were waiting and waiting and waiting. Reignover shows they're like, okay, guys, we're not going to go for the play. So that allowed Huni to get almost a full wave of experience. Just a difference in teams and how quick they are to pull the trigger, how confident they are in this play.
And the jungler as well. Because Reignover just did a drive-by, he went and did an extra camp. So all things, Fnatic really not wasting time.
And another
already losing it.
Good start here for Fnatic. You know, if you step back and you look at EDG, Koro's gone back to this more tanky champion in Darius. Substituted out in place of Amazing J, and EDG, they had a good start with that triple TP comp, but really it's been downhill from there. EDG just not challenging Fnatic just yet.
Koro is pretty screwed right now. He's been relegated to the jungler, the worst place for a top laner. Koro just trying to scavenge in EDG's jungle, and he is ridiculously far behind, trying to catch up here. But as you said, it's scary for him to extend in any lane.
It's always the problem about Darius is he's not really a split pusher. Because of the fact he cannot escape, he cannot really chase you down, he's a much better team fighter. So while EDG wants to 1v1, that's just to farm. They want to then group in together and fight with this comp here, pop that Sivir ulti, get to the backline of Fnatic. But if they start falling behind in these lanes here, especially if Huni once again gets going on this Riven, nobody can 1v1 him on the side of EDG. So that's a split pushing advantage for Fnatic, while Febiven is sitting and just wave playing mid over and over.
Well, I like, again, the early Sightstone here from Reignover, trying to get vision to keep this lead that they have.
Just again, calculated play from Fnatic, setting up around that dragon. We've got a numbers advantage down there. Good early game. 9 first bloods out of 9 games played. Fnatic really know how to get their players ahead when they pick a lane together.
Yeah, exactly. This lead that they have is transitioning into a big CS lead for Rek'Sai as well. Because they have the advantage, they can rotate him over to the giant minion wave to pick that up. And he got a huge influx of cash recently. Now he's got the BF sword pushing up on secondary turret bottom. Fnatic also have the wards to back it up.
Huni should not be too greedy now, though, because his team is making a play in the bottom side of the map. Kassadin is the swap we talked about earlier, how you put Sivir in mid to wave and defend the towers, and Kassadin goes to side lane. It's very difficult for him right now because of the fact Fnatic is already grouped and start pushing in on the tower. But that means Huni needs to be careful top because his team is on bottom side. And he's doing a camp.
He's in trouble. Huni gets caught out and he's going to get dropped. Flashes over the wall. Broken wings out. Doesn't find the Baron wall. Manages to survive. Can Fnatic do the same thing down bottom? Pawn has been chunked to half HP. And the rest of Fnatic are sieging onto the tower.
That's the thick part of the wall.
Kobe, you're still stuck on that one. Fnatic get a bunch of autos onto that bottom inner turret. And Huni loses his flash for overextending. The dragon is still not secured yet, but Fnatic will now back away after having a little more time on that tower and a little more information.
And that is a perfect example. You know, Darius is a champion who could not have made that escape. Riven, much easier to overextend and play greedy like that. Now that he doesn't have his flash, obviously, they're going to have to wait for wards to do that again. But the advantage has already been gained, and they're snowballing with it.
And we really just get to see, in a lane swap, it's so much more than just, okay, we killed the first tower, lane swap is over. No, it's the play's happening 5-6 minutes after again, because the way you set up the minion waves, the tower should push down. Can you get that TP play where before we kill the enemy top laner and so on? And Fnatic just executed that really well. Would still like to see Huni just back away from that top side. He likes to risk it and stay and say, oh, can I make a play
Gotta
here?
risk it for the biscuit, Deficio.
You gotta risk it for the dragon buff.
And Fnatic make it count. Take a look at this. Febiven, 20 CS advantage. Rek'Sai, 10 CS advantage. Yes, Huni is down, 10 CS, but he got that first blood. He's got some time, and he's actually still ahead in gold thanks to the towers.
And as I said, they've been funneling, you know, the large minion wave over to the other side, so the bank still coming in.
And the key thing for top laners here is not the gold right now, it's the experience. They're even at the moment, so despite Huni having to flash away. Nice trade in the mid lane though. Will become a problem for Febiven. These one-on-ones happening.
Speaking of CS leads, that early gank from Reignover really changed the face of that matchup.
The last time this played out was in that game that was remade. The only game where Fnatic did not score first blood. So as a team, they have 100% win rate officially when scoring first blood. Useless stat 101. EDG are grouped up in this middle lane. They've got some pressure with their entire team here.
You're gonna
wave clear.
Siege with a Kassadin Darius? Nice.
You have an auto attack reset of your W. That's crazy to see right there. Boom! W in your face.
Hashtag worth.
Problem for EDG was they had to use teleport back to lane in mid to defend the tower and then push it out. So now that split pushing component that was supposed to put pressure on Fnatic is not there.
I think it's a very clear point though there. EDG, they obviously know that they don't have much they can get outside of chasing somebody down with a Sivir ultimate in open ground. This is a Stampede comp, that's what they have to do. So Fnatic, they also know this, they're playing around it while they're waiting for people to go purchase items. They just play defensively at the turrets. They know that there's not really a big threat of EDG, even in a 4-person siege, getting much done.
Febiven manages to get his way to safety thanks to those shifting sands. But with 14 minutes in, only a single kill on the board. Again, a slower pace to the early game. Huni is nowhere near as far ahead as he was in the previous game. And despite the early pains on Toro, he's still late in CS, he's still even on levels, he's still relevant in this game. So EDG are going to have the option to stampede if they can find the right vision and the right position on the map.
Still, no teleport for them at the moment, so Fnatic can send someone down to catch the wave at the tier 2 tower. It's hard for them to push as well due to the fact Deft has so much wave clear. So again, we see how EDG really wants to position on the map. 2 side lanes being pushed in with double teleport, Sivir wave clear in mid over and over, and then you collapse and you get the flank going with Darius and Kassadin. Fnatic should be able to ward against it very easily though, because if EDG are keeping the AD carry mid, they don't have really any pressure, so it's hard for them to invade into the jungle of Fnatic without risking face checking and then get down these deep wards. That's why you see the jungle at the moment is almost empty of EDG wards, so they can't really collapse on Fnatic at the moment. Just have to sit back and try and farm because you have one fight behind.
Dragon's a few minutes away. Crowd is definitely anticipating the next move. 1,000 gold separates these teams. Farm looking better and better for EDG as that Rod of Age is slowly stacking up. It's a couple minutes late for Pawn, but not too terrible. Dragon's going to be about 3 minutes away. 2 minutes rather, as the clock just pops up. So let's see if EDG can set up any vision or look to challenge. They got a couple of wards in that area.
Just got a few put in there. Fnatic do have the chance to go back and get some pink wards as well before it. But this push in the mid is again what we're going to keep seeing. There's no wave clear at the moment, and Jinx will take down these towers.
Are they going to pull the trigger?
Misstep from EDG. Meiko gets head-butted backwards, and that slicing maelstrom does nothing. Apprehend pulls Reignover back, and he's going to be the sacrificial queen of the Xur side. Rek'Sai is left a little bit alone, and Koro has got the Noxian might. Flash comes up from Clearlove, but Rek'Sai manages to get away. Super Mega Death Rocket gets a kill, gets a reset, gets Rek'Sai excited. He's got a double. He's looking for the triple. Look for the zap. Is it on cooldown? Not going to get fired just yet. A 2 for 2.
A bit of a weird fight for Fnatic. Engage happened. Very nice headbutt from YellowStar at first against Meiko. Getting that Kennen ulti away, but Febiven had to teleport in. A bit delayed, and they had to give up at least Reignover at first.
And again, you are left with Jinx and Azir up though, so Fnatic can take an objective afterwards. They get a lot of damage on that turret. Mid-lane pressure here. They don't stick around for it actually because of the early revive times here for EDG so far. Did get about half of it.
Keep seeing this mix for Fnatic in terms of how they want to play the game. Last game it was, okay, Rek'Sai, you just sit on your own in lane, Huni, we camp for you over and over. This game, they've been giving all the big waves to Rek'Sai on this Jinx, letting him farm up as much as possible, and that's paying off in this fight. But look at how late Febiven is going to be in the party.
Big difference there was also teleport use for EDG. Almost everybody used their flashes, one left on each side, but now Fnatic do have the teleport advantage, and we can see a cross-map play after this. There's the Emperor's Divide, though, to put a stop to the Stampede and allow Fnatic the counter-attack here to pick up the double. And remember, they also got the turret out of that as well.
As we jump back into game, Huni was under pressure from Meiko, Koro, and Deft, but he does get out alive. The rest of Fnatic, are they grouped in the middle lane?
Why is EDG sending Deft to try and gank someone? He needs to sit in mid and always wave clear, so Fnatic cannot just keep pushing the waves up so easily and then rotate between the lanes. Look here now, suddenly we see both Dragon and bot lane towers open because Fnatic freely got to push mid tower and just move through the jungle.
Second Dragon should be picked up, Dapple. 0 cost to Fnatic. Huni gets the big top lane farm.
Oh, he got the whole turret, not even just damage off of it.
Grabs that tower, and they extend their lead further and further away. That Stampede becomes less and less worrying when you're charging at them with bunnies instead of rhinoceroses.
Yeah. You can't afford to misallocate your resources if you only have one real wave clear there.
Especially because
Deft time
Kassadin
in transit cost them a whole turret and dragon.
Kassadin is so key to catching off the targets and just chase after them, slow them down your own single target damage. EDG today, whenever they're falling behind, have shown us some very poor shot calling. Randomly kind of move members around, don't really know how to react to what Fnatic is bringing.
But you could say that's true of their World Championship showing thus far.
Sure.
It's been a tough showing for EDG. They fell so far behind the Bangkok Titans. Had to pull that game back. And as a team, they just seem to be coming apart a little bit, despite Koro returning. They find themselves in another incredibly difficult situation as they get to 20 minutes. They're down that 4,000 gold. And Fnatic poised to advance to the semifinals, poised to go to Brussels.
Yeah. You things do look very difficult for EDG right now. If you want to try and look at it from their point of view, they have to now rely on a mistake, an unforced error from Fnatic, because all their big playmaking abilities are down. All the flashes were blown. Both teleports were blown in the last one. So right now they're just trying to play defensive vision, sort of wait for the big flashes to come back, because it's an all-in team. You pop Sivir ultimate, you try and have everybody pile on and jump back and hope that you can burst down someone from Fnatic. Meanwhile, Fnatic keep taking more, not allowing EDG a moment.
Red buff stolen away. Febiven takes away a bunch of hit points on that top tower. And with Huni has teleport available, he is matching pawn split push.
With no TP on the side of EDG. So again, they invest everything onto that fight in mid lane, trade 2 for 2 and even lose a tower. That was kind of the way for EDG to get back in the game, because they're going to keep trying to split push with the Kassadin. But Fnatic also runs double teleport this game because Febiven knows what's going to happen. So he can also sit in the side lanes and try and at least push it back.
And we've got a little bit of time here, and we've mentioned how EDG have struggled this series. I think a little bit of props to Fnatic. There was a fair amount of fear from local fans that Fnatic may be a little shaky. Their week 1 performance wasn't great. Their game against AHQ had a couple of questions, and as a team, the week's prep has seemed to pay off.
Yeah, I think a very big deal for Fnatic is they're showing us more champions that fits the meta really well. Jinx for Rek'Sai is so key for me because he was playing Sivir and Kennen as basically only AD carry all the time. Was that going to be a big issue? Turns out that EDG thought it was, so they picked him away, but he just picks Jinx instead.
And it's even more funny that even if they have Rek'Sai on the end game carry and they're feeding him all this farm, they still have Huni on a snowball champion Riven, who's actually playing a sort of utility role. He's split pushing so well, using the mobility so well to gain map advantages for his team. Meanwhile, they get their tank that they need in the support pick. YellowStar on the Alistar. His ultimate is one of the only supports that can really turn into a mid-game and late-game tank because of the power of his ultimate. And here he goes, playmaking as well.
And a flash forward, that unbreakable will is up. Clearlove's been caught. He does have flash, and YellowStar may have bitten off more than he can chew. Pawn is looking to chase with Riftwalk. Here comes Rek'Sai. The Mega Death Rocket does not find a target, and YellowStar sent home with a drink in hand. Clearlove drops the cask, and they get one, punishing the engage.
Well, YellowStar went
That was a large
crazy.
man to pick a fight with.
Yeah, a little bit crazy in that one.
Teleport behind, gentlemen. Koro wants Fnatic blood. Meiko comes in and Reignover holds him in place. Febiven puts the golden disc down, but it may not be enough. He apprehends, pulls Rek'Sai backwards, and EDG will not go down without a fight. There's a double kill for Huni, but it's matched by a triple kill for Koro.
Great job by EDG pouncing on Fnatic with the opening that they created. That YellowStar made that unforced error we were looking for the EDG fans, and EDG are able to jump on them for it. Fnatic need to calm down. They still have the advantage here. They can still pull this back. They just have to wait for everyone to regain map control. But look at EDG. They don't let Fnatic get away with that mistake.
And we see what their comp can do when it gets to take these fights here, chasing onto the backline. But why is Fnatic staying? You just lost your support and you're against double teleport. Why would you ever start pushing? That's what EDG really can punish. Great move here, get the flank, get Febiven down instantly, and they win the fight. Fnatic cannot make another one of those mistakes, because then suddenly the Kassadin and so on can start getting completely out of control.
Yeah, I still think that Fnatic can regain control of this
100%.
fairly easily, though.
Still in the lead. Kobe, you've talked about the Riven, the snowballs ahead or snowballs behind. At this stage where he's got a small CS advantage, what's the relative power level of this between, I don't know, Yamcha and Super Saiyan? No, but seriously.
Pre-Super Saiyan Gohan.
For Huni, not the...
Actually, it's a Piccolo.
It's a Piccolo?
Yeah.
One arm or two?
Two.
Okay, we'll stop. We completely lost the fish.
You're going to
completely lost the fish. Dragon has respawned in the meantime. And EDG are the ones with control of the river for now. They've pulled it out.
This is bold by EDG.
Fnatic might want to try and rush a Baron instead and force EDG away from it. Huni's down here on the bottom side, trying to be annoying. There's no teleport this time around for EDG, so harder to get that flank going. Fnatic really wants to get a 5-on-5 team fight where they can protect Rek'Sai and Febiven.
Where they can set up as well. Again, the teleports are down. They have to work around these big cooldowns of the teleports and the flashes from EDG. EDG, every time they have these up, then they make the big all-in play.
Risky for EDG. Now, look here. Huni's on the side. Fnatic was looking to pull the trigger.
Huni wasn't able to find the angle in EDG. They are drawing this game out. That gold lead is shrinking in a relative value. And that's their first sort of aggressive, positive play that we've seen in a long period of time.
They've shown that they still have bite. Fnatic not afraid, though.
Wow, this YellowStar engaging and then putting his team in a disadvantageous position and actually cost Fnatic the control in the map.
Sure, but like that mistake, okay, that happens. You back away, then if you are Fnatic, you don't start pushing against EDG with 2 TPs behind.
That was a
series of mistakes.
Compounded event, yeah.
That was really the big one for me, at least. Now, Huni, we talk about him on this Riven. This game is not going to be about him. It's Febiven and Rek'Sai, the damage they can deal in these big team fights. If Huni can be annoying and trade his life for Deft, it's almost worth it every single time for them.
And this is where the absence of Tahm Kench this time around really does start to mean something. Deft does not have too much safety here against Kassadin. Kassadin, now that Pawn also has Zonias, can jump right in, chunk him out, and look for the re-engage with the rest of the Sivir boosted team.
See if they can enable those reset dunks from Koro on that knocks into your team.
And that's the one for me as well. With Kassadin, he can go in and be annoying, but he needs the rest of the team to follow him. He needs to set up that Darius to get that first kill. So Flash and TP for Koro are so key in these big team fights, because otherwise he's just running at them with this big axe, and it's very difficult for him to get to the backline against an Azir wall, against an Alistar and all this kind of CC. So really, Koro's positioning in these fights can win the game for EDG.
40 to 50 seconds on both Flash and Teleport for Koro. Pawn not far off, so EDG will have all their summoners available shortly for Fnatic. They farmed themselves up a game, a noticeable lead. They know the teleports are down, and EDG are going to be so late to this Baron party. YellowStar and Meiko are nearby, but Pawn and Koro are not. Baron's going low, 1,000 HP. It will be secured as Reignover smites it down. YellowStar's on the front line drawing attention, and Meiko, he's dropped. Rek'Sai is looking to run down Clearlove. Pawn has arrived, and Huni's on the back line. Febiven gets the kill. It's the carries Deficio wanted to see. The key strike will stun up EDG as YellowStar re-engages. He gives his life for the cause, and a flash forward for Reignover gets the knock up, the shut down, the kill for Febiven. Koro's down, and Fnatic with a 4-on-3 siege.
Redemption play for YellowStar. They're out of the Baron pit. Didn't even have to use Flash for that engage. They take the Baron, and they're able to clean up right afterwards. Now, the Baron-empowered siege, Fnatic can push into inhibitors.
This Alistar pick here again for YellowStar. When they take Baron, he's always denying the enemy jungler the chance to try and smite it, headbutts him away. It's very, very smart play from Fnatic, but also EDG trying to take a blue buff while Fnatic is sitting around that Baron for the last 5-6 minutes with no teleport. Super risky, and they got punished.
With all the damage that Fnatic had, you know, the 3 lanes of threat, they can burn this down. They have Huni.
And look at YellowStar.
Huni didn't even have to teleport in. He just followed along. So Febiven absolutely destroying the support Kennen there.
He didn't even get the blue buff.
Not worth. Well, EDG out of position, and Fnatic punish it ruthlessly.
Now he's going to get it.
They can taste
He was preparing
victory.
the blue buff.
Hey, it'll have a longer duration now.
Yeah, well played.
1 blue for 5 purples.
Good trade, good trade.
You actually stumped me with that one, Kobe.
Wait, you don't...
No, I know.
Baron?
I know. It's 5 purple bucks, but it's not the same value by any stretch of the imagination.
I think that's the whole point here.
You need to add
Thank you, Trevor.
Kappa to the
Actually,
end of that one.
YellowStar doesn't have one. It's only 4. Now is it worth?
Okay, there we go, there we go. I'll take that trade. I'll take that trade. Rek'Sai with that BT, Edge, and Shiv pushing a wave in. Pow Pow wants to take down this inner turret. Febiven did so much work to drop it low early.
He's gonna flank.
Let's find out.
They have to win this fight.
Is thrown for Deft. The body slam gets interrupted, and Clearlove cannot chase further thanks to the Flame Chompers. Rek'Sai takes him down as Koro and EDG are running for their lives. The flash wind slash does not dash anybody's life, and Huni is alive thanks to Face of the Mountain. YellowStar saves his life. The AoE rockets from Rek'Sai get the second of the fight. They've got the tower and they're on the inhib.
Once again, I'm looking at YellowStar in these fights here. We mentioned how Koro has to be able to get to the back line to get the reset instantly. Headbutts him away, zones away here, make sure his carries are sitting so far back they can deal the damage, and EDG couldn't get a flank.
Also, Febiven laying down the soldiers as they kite, and then instantly turning. So much DPS coming out of this Fnatic lineup.
Fnatic have broken the base of EDG at 30 minutes.
And the coordination for EDG completely died. Why don't you have a double teleport with home guards coming in here? If this is the fight you're looking for, look how hard it is to reach the backline. YellowStar denies Koro, and suddenly two carries are sitting back here from Fnatic, and nobody's even close. The Kassadin didn't even have a chance to reach him. You gotta coordinate the double teleport in if you wanna aim for these two carries.
So close to killing Huni. Huni wants to kill Pawn. They are equal on level. There's a flash available for Pawn, so he's going to buy some time. Rift walks over the wall, then flashes away. Gets caught by the zap.
Keep going, Febiven.
And
Don't let him get away with this.
Not that time. No flash. Pawn manages to get away, but Fnatic get the dragon. That's their third.
Yep, they're going to shove right up bottom lane here as well. Darius actually is getting a pretty good push on top, so it'll buy them some time. EDG, though, definitely very difficult defense coming up.
Well, Fnatic looking to be the second European team in the top 4 at the 2015 World Championship. They need to knock over one more Nexus. And they've got EDG against the ropes.
They've looked so good this series as well. After stumbling in week 1 of the group stages, Fnatic have made such a good recovery here at Worlds.
And it's a team that really prides themselves in being able to prepare for these best out of 5 so well. They talked about how they didn't have enough time to prepare for week 1. Didn't have enough information maybe to prepare, and that's probably going to be a kill.
The great chase continues. Pawn's going to rift walk over. He might be able to kill Febiven, and he does! Pawn gets one before Rek'Sai zaps him down. Gets excited and looks for more.
Yeah, he's got the double buff here on Rek'Sai as well, but doesn't pull out the chase. Fnatic now, they do have minion wave pushing in top. Even without Febiven, they might decide to push this up because Febiven does have teleport, so they can prep the siege while he's dead.
Gotta farm the jungle.
And have him teleport in. Yeah, well, Huni's been playing the utility role this time around. He's got the Ghost Blade even with the early last whisper here.
Is that a support item?
Yes, the support Ghost Blade.
Huni's continuing to pull side lane pressure and threat. Farmed up another CS advantage.
It's a really, really important thing too, because earlier in the group stages, several times, you know, Huni will be sort of wandering through the jungle and get caught and cost the team a kill. However, this game, he's done so well at escaping every single time. Not every single time. Most of the time when EDG collapsed.
The rest of the team was able to secure buffs. I mean, Koro and Pawn were moving towards their bottom lane. That Huni was pushing in when Fnatic took the first Baron. 6,000 gold Baron power play. The 6th largest, in fact, of all Baron plays at the World Championship.
Baron has been wearing the Fnatic jersey today, that's for sure. He's been helping out a lot, but really for EDG, seems to me they were surprised with Fnatic changing up the strategies from time to time. Now the fact they suddenly play around Rek'Sai a lot more as the carry, and Febiven, of course, in the mid lane instead of Huni. But EDG maybe were expecting every game to somewhat be the same. Okay, they're going to camp for Huni, and then we're going to try and shut it down. Yeah,
EDG to me look like a team that's still trying to adapt to the World's meta. They tried to pull off the 4 global comp, you know, after seeing it such success here at Worlds in such a short time. They tried to learn it and use it, and then they, in such a short time, they also try and use the Veigar Siege comp after seeing it here, but it didn't work out for them either. Fnatic burning this Baron down.
Well, they've got it before EDG are even in range, and YellowStar started to initiate. Pawn is knocked up in the air so long he may as well have frequent flyer miles. Pawn will try to rift walk away and get shut down. Reignover is out. It's a double for Rek'Sai. He wants to run down more. Deft, his brother in arms, will be his dead man in arms. That's a triple. Huni finds Clearlove in the back, and Rek'Sai with the rest of Fnatic. They're on to the Nexus, and Fnatic will advance to the semi-finals. The only team to do that 3 times in the World Championships. Fantastic play from Fnatic, and great to see sportsmanship between Rekkles and Deft. But truthfully, on this day, Fnatic simply outplayed EDG in almost every way.
Hey, we had a lot of questions coming in here for Fnatic. We didn't know what other AD carries they would play. Would they sometimes play around Rekkles? And they did.
The euphoria is running high, with China now being eliminated from the World Championship. The only teams that remain are from Korea and Europe. We're down to